Hello guys, I am Isao and this is Cognitive Gameplay. Today we are going to talk about executive functions. This video will be a bit longer than usual because the executive functions are many. But don't worry, because I will try to explain the concept as brief as possible and with examples. Executive functions are cognitive processes we use to carry out plans successfully. We also use them to solve problems that are new to us and with solutions we don't know. Just think about executive functions as the skills that allow you to execute plans, therefore the name executive. As an example, you use executive functions when you are planning a trip or when you want to throw a party. Even though different people talk about some more or some less executive functions, in this video I will focus on 9 functions. This seems like a lot, but you will get the hang of it quick. I promise. The first skill is attentional control. It is your ability to concentrate on a task during a certain amount of time. For example, when you play video games for 3 hours straight without realizing what is happening around you. The second skill is inhibitory control. It is your ability to stop your impulses or automatic behavior with the intention of reaching a bigger goal. For example, when you're afraid of the dark, but you push yourself to go into a dark room looking for something you need. The third skill is cognitive inhibition. It is your ability to shut down stimuli that are not important for the task you're doing. For example, when you are reading a book in a cafe and you focus on the reading while shutting down the small talk going around you. The fourth skill I'm going to talk about is cognitive flexibility. It is your ability for changing perspectives and points of view when new situations and necessities appear. For example, suppose you go to work using your car and you always take the same road. But one day you hear on the news that there was an accident and you know that the traffic will be heavy. You could take the same road and get into the traffic jam. But thanks to your cognitive flexibility, you can think of different options to overcome these problems, like taking a different road or going by train. The fifth skill is planning. It is when you organize in your mind the activities you need to do in order to achieve a goal. For example, when you're going on a trip and you need to book tickets, book the hotel, and pack the clothes you need according to the weather and the climate of the place. The sixth is working memory. It is a type of memory holding the information you require for doing a certain task. For example, when you are doing mathematical calculations and hold numbers in your head to sum them up later on. The seventh skill is prospective memory. It is a type of memory you use for remembering parts of plans you have made for the future. For example, when you are cooking a dish and someone calls you, and after a call you remember that you are cooking a dish and which ingredients you need to add next. The eighth skill is time-based information processing. It is the skill you use to make a plan based on time, goals, and constraints, while prioritizing how important or fast are some tasks. For example, when you are cooking a dish and you need to know in which order you have to add the ingredients, so some don't get overcooked or undercooked. The last skill I will talk about is multitasking. It is the capacity of carrying different mental and physical tasks at the same time. For example, when you are talking by phone and watching television at the same time. Now, let's talk about video games. To be honest, you are using executive functions all the time in your everyday life, and video games are not the exception to this. In fact, video games can serve as a way to train executive functions. A good example of a game that triggers most of the executive functions we talk about is Persona 3. For those of you that are not familiar with the game, Persona 3 is a role-play game where you take the role of a character that has the power of summoning certain entities called personas. The personas help you fighting evil entities, which you need to defeat to save the world. In order to succeed in the game, you have to balance different aspects of your life, like training, school, and social relationships. To do this, you need to make a plan. For example, when to train, when to study, and when to hang out with your friends. Sometimes unexpected situations happen that force you to adapt and to create a new plan. For instance, a friend calls you when you were planning to study, and you have to decide if you want to talk with them and skip studying, or keep studying and risk your friendship. These situations require of your cognitive flexibility to adapt to the change in the plans and your inhibitory control to choose the best option instead of automatically carrying out the plans you have without reflecting over the consequences. The game is also shaped over a period of time, so you need to make efficient time-based decisions. For example, you might want to train as much as you can before the start of vacations, as you cannot train during this period. Or you might want to study a lot before the exams week, so you can perform better in school. When planning over these periods of time, you also use your prospective memory by remembering the events that will happen and the actions you had planned in specific dates. Planning in the game also requires you to explore your surroundings when exploring the enemy's tower and to detect the strengths and weaknesses of the enemies so you can plan your fighting team, the powers you will use, and the way you approach the enemies. I hope you found this video useful, and if you like it, please remember to subscribe and to share it with your friends. Have a nice day.